Tuesday, February 24th, 2010. Animal trainer Dawn Brancheau, who was 40 years old, died when Tilikum, a 22-foot-long 12,000-pound whale, pulled her into the water and killed her. The world was shocked by this terrible event, which brought up important questions about how people should interact with these magnificent animals.
Tragedy at SeaWorld. It happened without warning. A killer whale grabbed a trainer who'd always dreamed of working with orcas and pulled her underwater.
Come with us as we look into what happened and find out the scary facts. It all began when Dawn Brancheau was a child and went to SeaWorld with her mother. Dawn saw her first Shamu show at SeaWorld in Orlando when she was only 10 years old. She knew right away that working with these beautiful animals was her calling when she saw the giant killer whale jump out of the water. She had no idea what an amazing trip and dangerous times were in store for her. Dawn decided to go to the University of South Carolina to study psychology and animal behavior so that she could become an animal trainer. She worked with dolphins at a New Jersey show for 2 years after getting her degree before getting a job at SeaWorld. This experience taught her a lot about how to train animals and helped her learn more about sea mammals. Dawn loved many other animals besides great killer whales. Dawn Brancheau loved dogs, especially her Labrador retrievers, when she wasn't working as an animal teacher. Her life would not have been the same without these loyal and fun friends. Dawn loved them very much, and they made her very happy and gave her company. Dawn helped out at an animal shelter when she had free time. She worked to improve the lives of stray dogs by giving them love, care, and a chance to find forever homes. Dawn's dedication to working in animal shelters and rescuing animals showed how much she cared about and loved all living things. Dawn worked with otters and sea lions at Six Flags amusement parks early in her career. This helped her learn how to handle and train these animals better. Dawn Brancheau went to SeaWorld in 1994 because she loved working with sea animals. At first, she worked with sea lions and otters. But in 1996, she had the chance to work with orcas, the majestic and amazing animals she had loved since she was 10 years old, and went to SeaWorld for the first time. To work with the amazing underwater giants, you had to be very strong, tough, and quick on your feet. Dawn knew that to be true. But for Dawn, being fit wasn't just a job condition, it was a way of life. She dedicated herself to staying in great shape so that she could connect with the orcas and do her job with confidence and accuracy. Dawn kept her body in good shape by adding different fitness exercises to her daily routine. She worked out by lifting weights, running, and riding a bike, all of which helped her get stronger and more fit overall. These practices not only made her stronger physically, but they also helped her concentrate and be more disciplined in her mind. Dawn wanted to set a good example for others and encourage them to live a healthy, active life by putting her own exercise first. She worked hard to always be the best she could be. Dawn was an orca teacher at SeaWorld, where she got to know these beautiful animals very well. She gave her time and knowledge to taking care of them, teaching them, and making their lives better. Through trust and understanding, she built a special bond with them. Behind the scenes, though, an orca called Tilikum who was unhappy and misunderstood would become a central figure in Dawn's tragic story. This is interesting because Tilikum is the Chinook word for friend. Tilikum, who was a male orca and was also known as Blackfish, had a rough past. He was caught in Iceland in 1983 when he was only 2 years old and his family was taken away from him. The Tilikum was put in a concrete tank at the Hofnarfjordur Marine Zoo, which is not far from Reykjavik. While he waited for help, he could only swim in circles or stay still on the top of the water for almost a year. Tilikum was moved to Sealand of the Pacific, a new home on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada, in 1984. It was there that he was put with Haida 2 and Nut Kafur, 2 older female orcas. Female orcas are at the top of the social order in the wild, and these 2 females were competing to be the dominant one, which is why they attacked Tilikum. Tilikum got stomach ulcers from the stress, and he was often locked up in a hospital pool to keep him safe from the violent attacks. Bruce Stevens, a former head trainer at SeaWorld, was asked for help by Sealand. He gave the trainers a manual that warned them that if they didn't give the animals enough to do, the animals would make their own fun. But the orca's brain and health didn't seem to get any better. The orcas refused to give up things and became more and more aggressive as Tilikum's aggressive behavior continued. Eric, a teacher at Sealand, quit in May 1989 and told the Canadian Federation of Humane Societies about the safety issues, saying that he thought someone would get hurt or killed. Eric's prediction came true, which was very sad. At the Canadian Park Sealand of the Pacific, there was an accident that killed a worker. Kelty Byrne was a state champion diver and worked part-time at Sealand. There was a 20-year-old marine biology student and part-time trainer called Kelty Byrne who fell into Tilikum's pool at Sealand on February 20th, 1991. For some reason, Kelty Byrne slipped and fell into the water while working near the orca pool that day. Together with the two female orcas, Tilikum jumped at the chance to attack her. Kelty was attacked by the orcas, which eventually caused her untimely death. The event shocked everyone in the marine park and the surrounding area. This event was a big turning point in the captive orca business. It brought to light the possible dangers and moral issues that come up when these smart and powerful animals are kept in captivity. Because of this event, Sealand had to close, and in 1992, the orcas, including Tilikum, were sold to SeaWorld. Even though Tilikum had a reputation for being mean, he was put on show at SeaWorld again and became a big hit, making the company a lot of money. He was the biggest orca a person had ever kept as a pet. In 1999, a homeless person and Tilikum were involved in another fatal accident at SeaWorld Orlando. The victim, who has not been named, was a man who got into the park after hours without permission. It is thought that the man went into Tilikum's tank at night and was discovered dead in the morning. It's not entirely clear what happened that led to his death. That being said, it was found that the man died from drowning and other injuries he got from the fight with Tilikum. Even though Tilikum had been involved in several fatal accidents, SeaWorld kept him as one of their main features because he was a big draw for people. We now know that Tilikum, a male orca that weighs over 12,000 pounds, has been involved in 2 deaths. The next meeting, on the other hand, would turn out to be the worst. People said that the bond between Dawn Brancheau and Tilikum was strong and based on love and trust. Dawn had spent a huge amount of time working with Tilikum and had grown close to him. She was known for caring deeply about the animals she worked with, and Tilikum was no different. Even though Tilikum was big and had a past of being mean, he showed a different side when he was with Dawn. Trainers and witnesses said that Tilikum treated Dawn like a friend. During their training lessons and performances, he did what she asked of him and was willing to work with her. The bond that Dawn had made with Tilikum was praised by her co-workers and fellow trainers. They thought she had a special bond with him because she trained him regularly, gave him praise, and helped him understand her. It was clear that they trusted and respected each other. Dawn and Tilikum became close after years of working together, learning to read each other's body language and coming up with their own way to talk. They knew each other well and respected each other enough to be able to do complicated dances together. It's important to remember that orcas like Tilikum are very smart and social animals. They can build relationships with their trainers based on trust, good reinforcement, and regular contact. The bond that Dawn had with Tilikum showed how strong relationships can be between people and these amazing sea creatures. Sadly, something terrible happened on February 24, 2010, during the Shamu show at SeaWorld and broke this link. In the Dining with Shamu show, Dawn and Tilikum were acting. Guests ate dinner outside while watching an orca show. Reports say that Dawn had just finished stroking Tilikum's nose and was lying next to him with her face to him when he suddenly became angry. After that, everything changed in an instant. Tilikum grabbed Dawn out of the blue, either by her hair or her arm, and pulled her into the water. The attack went on once they were in the water. People who saw it say that Tilikum swung Dawn around beneath and pulled her by her arm. The fight went on for a long time and was very violent. Different trainers tried to distract Tilikum with nets and food, but they weren't able to save Dawn in time. Dawn drowned in the end because of the attack. After the autopsy, it was clear how badly Dawn was hurt. Tilikum's aggressive actions broke her jaw, broke a part of her spine, popped one of her elbows, and even popped one of her knees. The attack was so strong that a piece of her skin was pulled out of her head against her will. Hair and skin from her body were found at the bottom of the pool. Her left arm was torn off its groove. A lot of people read about what happened and talked about how unethical it is to keep orcas as pets for entertainment reasons. Watch the whole video to find out what happened to Tilikum. After what happened, SeaWorld stopped all orca shows right away and temporarily closed the park while the Occupational Safety and Health Administration looked into what happened. After the review, 3 safety violations were found, and the park was only fined $75,000 for not giving its trainers a safe place to work. After what happened, SeaWorld made big changes to its facilities and methods to make sure that its trainers were safer. A new strategy for water work was put in place, which was a big change. This meant that trainers could no longer go into the water with the orcas during acts and shows. Instead, they would use safe elevated platforms to do exercise and talk to each other. A lot of people didn't like SeaWorld, which caused fewer people to go, a lot of bad press, and money problems for the company. A lot of news outlets talked about the event and the investigations that followed. People were angry and argued about whether keeping orcas in captivity was moral. The documentary Blackfish, which came out in 2013, was mostly about the episode with Don Brancheau and Tilikum, as well as the bigger problems with keeping orcas as pets. The documentary had a big effect on public opinion. It added to the debate and made people more aware of how orcas in captivity are treated. A worldwide effort for the safety and freedom of orcas began with the tragic death of Don Brancheau. Many groups, researchers, and campaigners are now working hard to help orcas that are being held captive get better and then release them back into their natural habitats. The goal of these attempts is to make a world where orcas and other sea creatures can live and do well in their natural environments without being confined to tanks. Don Brancheau's family remembers her as a passionate, loving person who had a strong bond with animals. People have said nice things about how hard she works as a teacher and how much she loves orcas, especially Tilikum. Don Brancheau's family started the Don Brancheau Show Foundation to celebrate her memory and carry on her work after she died in 2016. Don's foundation helps causes that were important to her, like protecting animals, promoting education, and giving scholarships to students who want to work in areas related to animals. Once the event was over, Tilikum stayed at SeaWorld and spent a lot of time lying on the water in his pool. He wasn't used in shows anymore and wasn't allowed to get close to trainers. Tilikum passed away on January 6, 2017 from bacterial pneumonia. He was 36 years old. No one still doesn't know why Tilikum chose to attack Don Brancheau. Thanks for joining us today as we look into the terrifying last minutes of Don Brancheau, an orca teacher. If this video taught you something or made you think, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to get more disaster videos. Please leave a comment below and tell us what you think about this story.